What's up, y'all? It's Daniel the Shoemmelier. If you're like me, you've seen on social media, on YouTube, on sneaker blogs, many people's or many corporations' best or favorite sneaker of the year list. In fact, some people put out two. I thought, what if I went in an old BCS style computer ranking system and found tons of people's lists, whether it was a favorite list, whether it was a best of the year list, whether it was an official ranking or just a listing. I put it all together. I jotted everybody's sneakers of the year list, put it together, found which shoes were found most commonly on people's lists, who had the most votes, who had the least votes. I looked at honorable mentions, I just looked at nominations, some did brackets, some did voting. So it's not really as scientific as I had hoped, but it did give me a good idea about the 50 or so different silhouettes that people deemed a sneaker of the year. Now, putting this list together, I did condense colorways into one silhouette. So somebody said the Nike Air Jordan 1, blah, 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 and blah, 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 in bleep, bloop, blue. Well, I counted that as the Nike Jordan 1. Now, that is a little bit unfair. I get that. And it may seem like, well, that's not cool. That one particular shoe should be up there. But I think when you see me talk about these particular silhouettes, it'll make sense. And hopefully you'll agree with that. So here are the top 15 shoes released in 2023 as I have put together an aggregate of social media, of sneaker internet, sneaker YouTube, top 15. Let's go down to the list and see what you think. First on the list at number 15 is the New Balance in ALD 860 V2 Green. This is a collaboration between New Balance, a very hot sneaker brand right now, and ALD, a very hot sneaker designer as well. You put it all together and you have one of the most understated yet super cool collaborations and colorways of the year. Again, New Balance is having a moment. ALD has been having a moment. So what better way to kick off the list than to, well, showcase their release at number 15. At 14, we have the Asics Gel Kone 14. Now, this is the first silhouette on the list that is just an arbitrary generic name of the silhouette. There were a number of colorways mentioned on various people's end of the year list, and so I thought this silhouette seems to be pretty hot right now, so let's just focus on this silhouette. It was listed on there, and a number of people did talk about how the colorways or the collaborations or whatever, so it was definitely a worthy shoe to be on this top 15 end of the year list. Coming in at 13, it's the JTip's in Saucony Grid Azura. Now, I'm glad this is on the list. I am mad that is this low. And it's surprising about how many lists did not have this shoe, well, on their list. The first Complex Con one didn't have it. And then they backtracked and released another one. So, we messed up, and then they put it on there. This is, and has been, since its release, a shoe of the year. And for it to, one, be so low, and for it to, two, actually not be on so many people's lists, that's a what's the word I'm looking for? Is that a tragedy? Perhaps it's like those Hall of Fame voters that didn't vote for Nolan Ryan the first time out of, well, I don't vote for people eligible in their first year. Go to hell, whatever. He was one of, if not the greatest pitcher of the last how many decades? Regardless, this JTip shoe is a sneaker of the year. It's way too low at number 13, but hey, it made the list. At number 12, we have the Nike Zoom Vomero 5. Now, there are people that said the metallic silver was the colorway. Some people said oatmeal, like your boy here. But I'm just going to go ahead and put the Dornbecker as the representation of this Nike Zoom Vomero 5 because this is not only the best Vomero to come out of the year, that's right, it's also a top 10 shoe of the year. Just like the JTips, I don't know why it's so low. And this specific colorway was found on even less lists than the JTips. It was the metallic silver, or some people just arbitrarily put the Nike Zoom Vomero 5. I get it, and some people will say, well, the metallic silver is the one that kicked it off. I don't know, I was rocking with oatmeals before that. But this beautiful shoe, beautiful silhouette, definitely should be on somebody's top 10 list. I'm surprised when it's not. But again, like the JTips, at least it made the list. Coming in at number 11, it's the Cortez and Nike Air Max 95. We mentioned the first Complex Con release, and this shoe was way too high. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't really think this shoe deserves to be on a top 10, much less a top 15, but it's here. Enough people voted for it or put it on the list for it to have representation. It's a good looking shoe, and I think there is more about the story behind the release that pumps this shoe up into the list of a top 15. If we didn't have the riots that took place or all the hoopla and the hype, well, I don't think this shoe would be on there. It's a good looking shoe. The collaborations, the different colorways, really cool, and I wish I had it. It's not working out for me, but it's okay. Regardless, it's on this list, but it's the first one where I go like, not so sure. Well, you're in the top 10, and in that 10 spot is the Nike Kobe 6 Reverse Grinch colorway. Now, this shoe might be the most recent release, but its hype has been going on for so much longer. It was kind of exclusive. They said that there were going to be way more releases of this particular colorway. I'm not sure if that's actually the truth or not. And if you go off of resale sites, well, I guess the answer would be But it's a really, really good looking shoe. Some of us, like your boy, prefer this reverse Grinch colorway to the original Grinch colorway. Don't come at me in the comments, but yeah, let me know what you think. But regardless, it caused enough hype and it's a good enough looking shoe to be on this top 10. I'm not mad about it. It's not my top 10, but it's definitely worthy of consideration. At number 9, it's the born and raised Nike SB Dunk Low. Much like the Cortez, you really can't separate the shoe from the release and everything that surrounded it with the death of Sponto and all of that took place with the shoe. Now, this is a really good looking shoe, and I think it would have been on many people's top 10s list regardless, but towards the bottom. But I think, again, due to the release, due to the story behind all of that stuff, I think it gave it sort of an, I don't want to say unwarranted boost, but I don't think it would be as hyped if maybe the untimely death of its creator hadn't happened. That's no hate towards the shoe and definitely no hate towards the family or anything like that. But I think sometimes extenuating circumstances influence our perception of something, and I think that was the case with this shoe. A good looking shoe. 9th, not really sure about that. It's in the top 15 for me, but this shoe did come in at 9th on the overall aggregate list. At number 8, we have the Nike SB Dunk Low Jarritos. This is by far my favorite dunk release of the year, and I wish this was the highest ranked dunk on this list, but spoiler alert, it's not. Everything about this rollout speaks to me, not only because I'm Mexican and I'm familiar with jarritos and all of that stuff, but just the way this shoe looks, the rollout, the drinks, the crates, the texture, the materials, all of that. This is one of my favorite shoe releases of the year. I'm still trying to grab it for a decent price. I missed out on the initial release, and I just couldn't quite pull the trigger when it was time, when resale was at its lowest. So consider this one the one shoe that I will most definitely get in the next few weeks, especially if I get some of that mad Christmas money from Mom Toya. But as it is, it's a top 10 shoe. Will it be top 10? Will it be even top 5 when it comes to my favorite list? We'll have to wait and see. Number 7, the Adidas Samba. Now, this is another one that I just decided to call it the Adidas Samba. There was the Wales Bonner. There was the Footwear News Awards that just deemed the Adidas Samba generally the shoe of the year. And many people, such as your boy, had the A Street Samba by Ronnie Fieg, Clarks, and Adidas as a shoe of the year. This is a shoe of the year. How many other releases do you know of, and someone could school me about it in the comment section down below, that had a release and the want and the hype and the demand was so great that the 3 creators came together and go, we'll do a pre-order. Now, I wasn't able to hit on the initial release on either of the colorways, but I did participate in the pre-order. I got them, I love them, and yes, either of these, or the entire release as you want to call it, is a shoe of the year. The Adidas Samba is definitely having a very long, extended moment, and that's not going to slow down as we get into 2024. I'm not saying I'm stripes over checks, but I'm definitely not checks over stripes, but I was a boost head. So regardless, the Adidas Samba, a top 10 shoe of the year. This A Street Samba, definitely top 5 when it comes to me, but we'll have to see when that list comes out. But yep, the Adidas Samba. And then just outside the top 5, at number 6, it's the Action Bronson and New Balance Baklava, though there was a vote or two for his other colorway, the Lapis. Forgive me, I cannot remember, so I just decided to just call it, much like the other silhouettes, just the Action Bronson. This is a shoe of the year. This is definitely, much like the A Street Samba, a top 10 shoe of the year. For some, it's much higher. 6th place seems to be okay for some. That seems to be the average, as it were, and that's what this whole list is about, sort of like the average of where rankings of these shoes come out. It's a beautiful shoe. It's a great shoe. I definitely prefer this to the blue one, but I understand why people think the other one is more wearable. This is just louder and maybe harder to put a fit together. I disagree. But regardless, Action Bronson New Balance killed it with both of those colorways. That's why they're just on the outside looking into the top 5, solidly in the top 6, definitely in the top 15. Coming in at number 5, probably the most controversial being on this list this high, is the Tiffany Co and Nike Air Force 1 1837. Now, first off, I didn't grab this shoe, and I'm definitely not paying resale for this shoe. I like this shoe, but I don't think it needs to be this high, and you will not find it this high. Will you even find it on my top 10 list? I'm not sure, but I will say a lot of people like this shoe. This might be one of the top 3 most hyped shoes of the year, and number 1's not even a sneaker. It's not even on this list. I don't know why it's not on a lot of people's list, but regardless, we move on. This shoe, I would say, is more hype than substance. Doesn't mean I don't like it, and doesn't mean I don't think it's cool, but I don't think it's top 5. But some of you might disagree. Let's talk about that in the comment section down below. Number 4, the Travis Scott and Nike Air Jordan 1 Low Olive. Count me as one who's not a fan of this colorway, not a fan of the hype, not a fan of any of that stuff. So of course, I don't get why it's on the list, but on the other hand, I do get why it's on the list. But just like the Born and Raised Nike, I think there's more to it regarding the hype around the shoe than the actual shoe itself. I know a lot of people who love olive. It's their color of the year. They love how wearable this shoe is. I get all of that. I understand it. But when I look at it, much like the Tiffany, I don't find this to be a top 10 shoe of the year. Again, I get it, and I understand hype, and I understand influencers, and I understand all of that stuff in this day and age. But to me, your boy, I disagree with it. I'd love to hear what you think about this Travis Scott being at 4th place. Coming in at number 3, the bronze medal. It's the J Balvin and Nike Air Jordan 3 Medellin Sunset. Now, I love this shoe. I want this shoe. I don't have this shoe. This is definitely a top 5 shoe. By far, it's the best J Balvin and Nike collaboration. I don't think anyone is disputing that fact, especially seeing the Jordan 1 and the Jordan 2. It has a lot of hype to it. It was a slow build. That ridiculous marketing ploy with DJ Khaled, I find him incredibly annoying, and I can't stand that he's one of our sneaker ambassadors. But regardless, this is a shoe that belongs on this list, belongs as high as it is, maybe higher. Not really sure. I have to take it all into consideration. Check back after the first so you can see where I put it. Spoiler alert, it's on the list, but it's 3rd place. What do you think? 2nd place, the silver medal, the Nike Air Jordan 3 White Cement Reimagined. Much like the Tiffany, and much like the Travis Scott Nike Air Jordan 1 Low Olive, I don't care about this shoe. I get why people love this shoe. I understand it's so wearable, and some people are like, I've got to have 2 or 3 of them. I get all of that stuff. I get the history. It's reimagined, blah, blah, blah. All of that I understand. But for me, it's not top 5, and I guess it's on top 10. I'm not really sure. It's not on my favorites list, and I don't have it, and I've had multiple chances to grab it. I don't care. I don't want it, but I get why people like it. So I don't hate on you that love it. I don't hate on the folks that want to wear it. I don't hate any of that kind of stuff. That's for you, not for me. So you're welcome if me not getting these shoes saved you a pair for yourself. But it's 2nd. Don't really think it belongs there, but hey, what can you do? And then receiving the gold medal in 1st place, to the surprise of maybe nobody, it's the Nike Air Jordan 4 SB. Now, this was, if we could call it, almost a consensus number 1 pick across all of the lists. This shoe was probably the shoe of the year, not only the minute it was released to the public, but maybe when photos and images and stories and leaks and all that stuff of this shoe came out. This has been the de facto shoe of the year. It's like being wire to wire, being the preseason number 1 in the AP poll and winning the national championship. This shoe did that. This shoe went wire to wire. I don't disagree. It's a fantastic shoe. It's definitely one of the shoes of the year. Is it the best? Maybe. Is it a favorite? I don't know. I have other favorites, but it's definitely, without a doubt, a top 3 shoe of the year. I think if we're being honest, it's not the number 1 sneaker of the year. But as I mentioned, the number 1 sneaker of the year is not even a sneaker, and you have to take into account hype, even though I just explained that there are 2 or 3 shoes on this list that you shouldn't take hype into consideration. So I'm contradicting myself, but hey, unlike Joe Rogan, I can admit when I'm wrong. So this is the number 1 shoe of the year, the Nike Jordan 4 SB. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. I hope they don't release other colorways. Let this be the only one. Let the hype around this shoe build till the end of time. Yeah, retro it in 10 years or whatever. Don't come out with a purple or a red or a silver or a blue or an orange or any of that stuff next year. Let this shoe just be, because it's perfect. It's an amazing shoe. It's a fantastic shoe. And I'll say it, a worthy number 1 on the top 15 aggregate sneaker definitive of the year list. A lot of words to say. It's a list of the top 15 shoes of the year as decided by some weird aggregate algorithm of various lists that you can find on internet. So there you go. It's a top 15 list. Is it the definitive? I say it is. Like I said, there was almost 50 or maybe over 50 different silhouettes that were on people's list if you combine them all. Some only had one vote. There were some Hokas and some other silhouettes. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Hopefully with this top 15 list, you can see some nice representation of not just Nike Jordan brand shoes and Travis Scott's and hype. I'd like to see more on that, but that would mean other people would have to put that on their list. So if you're looking for more variety, I suggest you check back after the first, because I promise we're going to do something really cool on the channel when releasing our top sneaker of the year, or top sneakers of the year for 2023. So be sure to check back for that video after the new year. Don't forget to leave us a comment in the comment section down below. Let us know what you thought about any of these entries. What shoes did we miss? What shoes shouldn't have been on the list? What was too high? What was too low? I don't think that this comment section will be anywhere near as wild as some of the other ones, but you never know. Someone might get a wild hair about something that just really triggers them. So let's talk about all of that in the comment section down below. So to all of you out there, wherever you are, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and just chill. Till the next episode.